Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Lunch Poems. My name is Kristen Spronia, and it's my great pleasure to see you all here today. Just a few quick announcements. We do have our year-long posters out by the door. We invite you to take one of those as you leave, and also be sure to sign up on our mailing list if you're not on it already. And please visit our website where you can view our past Lunch Poems readings as webcasts. These are all put up usually within about a week. And you can view them through your computer and see all our past readings, and you can tell your friends about readings that you enjoyed, and they can watch them from all across the world. We actually have a brand new Facebook page, so we invite you to be our friend on there as well. And we've passed out Dancing in Odessa. We will be collecting those at the end. They're for you to follow along to the reading. And now I give you Robert Hess, who will introduce our reader, Ilya Kaminsky. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to introduce Ilya Kaminsky. He was born in Odessa in 1977. He came to the United States with his family in 1993. They were granted asylum by the U.S. government. He received a BA from Georgetown. He was the youngest person ever to serve as a George Bennett Fellow in Writing at Phillips Exeter Academy. He won a Ruth Lilly Fellowship from Poetry Magazine for his work. And Dancing in Odessa, his first book, was published, now I don't have the date, in 2004. He graduated from law school, was in Berkeley for a while when I got to know him and got to know his poems, and he's now teaching poetry and literature at San Diego State University. Let me read you a couple of things that poets I admire said about this book, Dancing in Odessa. Adam Zagajewski, Dancing in Odessa is born under two signs, memory and ecstasy. Ilya Kaminsky proceeds like a perfect gardener. He grasps the gifts of the Russian newer literary tradition onto the American tree of poetry and forgetting. This book, he says, speaking of Odessa, Dancing in Odessa, is as fresh as a young leaf in the spring. Robert Pinsky, passionate, daring to laugh and weep, direct yet unexpected. Ilya Kaminsky's poetry has a glorious tilt and scope. I almost don't need to describe it at all. The first poem in the book begins, "If I speak for the dead, I must leave this animal of my body." Gets you right there. The first piece, Dancing in Odessa, begins, "In a city ruled jointly by doves and crows, doves covered the main district and crows the market." Gives you a feel for his sensibility. There's a piece in the middle called Musica Humana that gets a little bit the way Ilya's imagination mixes the magical and the fabulous with deeply amused love of something about human beings. This poem begins, "His name was Osip, but either jokingly or in disguise we called him Ovid. As the story goes, Ovid was a rose thief. He stole dozens of roses from the public park at night, hiding them in his coat, then selling them at the train station in the morning. Ovid became famous when he stole the governor's coat and then sold it to the city's chief judge." It was at moments in the poems like that I thought, this man is wonderful. This is a wonderful imagination, rich, surprising, ceaselessly inventive in talking about the strange forms of human happiness, cunning, and suffering. He's working on a new book, a book-length poem about a love triangle in a country that's in denial about the fact that it's suffering an epidemic of silence. I expect that he'll be making works that will surprise and delight us for a long time to come. I'm so glad he's here. Welcome, Ilya Kaminsky, to Berkeley.
Thank you so much, Robert. I gotta say that about 5 or 6 years ago, I knocked on his door, and I was just a boy from the street, and he sat me down and talked to me for hours about poetry. And I consider him my teacher. He's so incredibly kind. He also happens to be one of the 2 or 3 best living American poets. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is to have this man here, and I consider myself very lucky. And thank you, Robert. And thank you all for being here. Having said that, I will just read some poems. The first poem, okay, now by the time you finish I finished the sentence, you all realize that I speak with a very heavy Russian accent. So I passed out the copies of the book. I hope you can all share and follow. Otherwise, you will suffer for the next 30 minutes. So let's try not to suffer, okay? But if you don't have one to follow, please share, okay? The first poem is called Author's Prayer. It's on page 1, Author's Prayer. If I speak for the dead, I must leave this animal of my body. I must write the same poem over and over. For an empty page is a white flag of their surrender. If I speak for them, I must walk on the edge of myself. I must live at a blind man who runs through the rooms without touching the furniture. Yes, I live. I can cross the streets asking what is it. I can dance in my sleep and laugh in front of the mirror. Even sleep with a prayer, Lord. I will praise your madness in a language not mine. Speak of music that wakes us, music in which we move. For whatever I say is a kind of petition. And the darkest days must I praise. Let's do a little bit of love poetry. If you go to page 33, I'll just read you some fragments from a longer love poem called Natalia. I'll only read the poems at the top of the page. If you want to read the stuff on the bottom of the page, you can do so yourself, okay? So on page 33, Natalia. On the night I met her, Rabbi sang and said, God sleeps on his broad Torah in his arms. I unfastened her stockings, worried that I have stopped worrying. She slept in my bed, I slept in a chair. She slept in a chair, I slept in a kitchen. She left her slippers in my shower, in my Torah, her slippers in each sentence I spoke. I said, thus I loved, I grow old or born. But I love the stubbornness of her bedclothes. I bite them, taste but clothes, the sweet mechanisms of pillows and covers. A serious woman, she dances without a shirt, covering what she could. We lay together on Yom Kippur, chosen by a wrong God, the people of a book, broken by a book. Next page. 34. Let me kiss you inside your elbow, Natalia, sister of the careful. He spoke of gratitude, his fingers trembling as he spoke. She unfastened 2 bottoms of his trousers to learn 2 languages. One for uncles and one for remembering. Or maybe she thought it was bad luck to have a dressed man in the house. With an eyebrow pencil she painted his mustache. It may have wanted to touch him and she didn't. She opened her robe and closed it, opened it and closed it again. She whispered, come here, nervous. He followed her and he stepped off. Next page. We fell in love and 8 years passed. 8 years carefully I dissect this number. We have lived with 3 cats in 5 cities, learning how a man ages invisibly. 8 years, 8 I chilled lemon, what can we kiss it on the floor among the peels of lemons. And each night, looking up, we saw ourselves, a man and a woman, whispering, Lord, one word this soul destroys to make clear how magical it is to live. It rained at the market, With my fingers should I beat out Horayanbics and a bag of our lunches, casserole, and we sang $3. Why aren't you in my pockets? And the next page, 36, is the last page of this sequence, Natalia. It's called Envoy, and it has an epigraph which is actually true. In 1992, somebody said, "You will die on a boat from Yalta to Odessa," whatever that means. So here's an envoy. What ties me to this earth? In Massachusetts, the birds force themselves into my lines. The sea repeats itself, repeats. I bless the boat from Yalta to Odessa, and bless each passenger, his bones, his genitals. Bless the sky inside his body. The sky my medicine, the sky my country. I bless the continent of Gauls, the argument of their order. They win my master in the sun, the joy of poplar swallows. Bless one woman's brows, her lips, and their sad bless the roundness of her shoulder, her face a lantern by which I live my life. You can find us, love. She's a woman dancing with her eyes closed, and I'm a man arguing with this woman over nightstands and tables and chairs. Lord, give us what you have already given. Okay, can you follow me, okay? Yes. You sure? Okay. Well, let me read you some shorter poems, and that may be a longer poem, okay? Let's go on to page 6. Six. Okay. Are we all on the same page? Just wondering. 6, okay? Okay, the poem is called Immigrated. Where a day's abundance trading in a city that belongs to no nation, but all the nations of wind. She spoke the speech of poplar trees, her ears trembling as she spoke. My aunt was composed odes to barber shops, drugstores. Her soul vaulting on 2 feet. The soul, or no soul, a child salon, she loved street musicians and knew that my grandfather composed lectures on the supply and demand of clouds in our country. The state declared him an enemy of the people. He ran after a train with tomatoes in his coat and danced naked on a table in front of our house. He was shot, and my grandmother raped by the public prosecutor who stuck his pen in her vagina, the pen which signed people off for 20 years. But in a secret history of anger, one man's silence lives in the bodies of others as we dance to keep from falling between the doctor and the prosecutor. My family, the people of Odessa, woman with huge breasts, old man, naive and childlike. All our words, hopes of burning feathers that rise and rise with each retelling. The next poem is on the following page. Can you follow me, okay? Yeah. The next poem is on the following page. It's called Maestro. Page 7. Maestro. What is memory? What makes a body glow on April orchid in Moldova and the school is pumped? When the schools are bombed, sadness is forbidden. I wait this now, and I feel my body sway. The screaming girls, 347 voices in a story of a doctor saving them. His hand trapped under a wall, his granddaughter dying nearby. She whispers, I don't want to die, I have eaten such apples. He touches her mouth, the blind man reading lips and yells, shut up, I am near the window, I am asking for help. Speaking, he cannot stop speaking. In the dark of Bram Chopin, he speaks to them to calm them. A doctor, yes, whatever window framed his life. Outside, tomatoes grew, clouds passed, and we once lived. A doctor with a tattoo of a parrot on his strapped arm, seeing his granddaughter cheekbone is no longer her. Cheekbone is with surgical precision, stitches suffering and grace. 2 days pass. He shuts in his window. There is no winter. When the rusty approaches, he speaks of Chopin. They cut off his hands. Now they say he's doing okay. In my dream he stands feeding bread to pigeons, surrounded by pigeons, birds on his head, his shoulder. He just you don't understand the thing. He's breathing himself to sleep. The city sleeps. There is no such city. Okay, one more sad poem and then a couple of happy poems, okay? The next poem is on page 9, following page. It's called Aunt Rose. And again, if you don't have a book, share one with somebody, okay? Otherwise you will be suffering. And I won't say that word again. Aunt Rose. In a soldier's uniform and wooden shoes, she danced at either end of day, my Aunt Rose. Her husband rescued a pregnant woman from the burning house. He heard laughter. Each day saw one little artillery. In that fire he burned his genitals. My Aunt Rose took other people's children. She clicked her tongue and they cried, and August pulled curtains evening after evening. I saw her, chalk between her fingers. She wrote lessons on an empty blackboard. Her hand moved on the border, remained empty. We lived in a city by the sea. But there was another city at the bottom of the sea, and only local children believed in its existence. She believed them. She had her husband picture on a wall in her apartment, each month on a different wall. And now see her with that picture. Hammer in her left hand, nail in her mouth, from her mouth a smell of wild garlic. She moves toward me in her pajamas, arguing with me and with herself. The evenings are my evenings. This evening, in which she dips her hands up to her elbows, the evening in that sleep inside her shoulder, rounded by sleep. Okay, a slightly happier poem on the next page, page 10, called My Mother's Tango. Okay, My Mother's Tango on the page 10. I now see her windows open in the rain, laundry in the windows. She rides a wild pony for my birthday, a white pony on a 7th floor. And where will we keep it? On a balcony, the pony nating on a balcony for 9 weeks. Yes, at the center of my life, my mother dances. Yes, here, as in childhood, my mother has to describe the stages of my happiness. She speaks of soups she eats, of their tail, and between the regiments of saucers and towels, she moves so fast she is motionless, opening and closing doors. But what was happiness? A pony on a balcony. My mother's passed a cloak she wore on her shoulder. I'd run axes through the afternoon to see her 60, caught in a foreign language, young, not young. My mother gallops a pony on a 7th floor. She becomes a stranger and acts herself. Opens for the shut, shuts for the open. And on page 11, it's a little love poem called American Tourist. Okay? American Tourist. In a city made of zivet, we danced on a rooftop, my hands under her breasts. Subtracting day from day at this woman's ankles to my days of atonement, her lower lip, the formal boniness of her face. We were made in love all evening. And all her stories, the rituals of rain, happiness is money, yes, but only the smallest cause. She asked me to pray, to bow towards Jerusalem. We bowed to the left, I saw two bakeries, a shoe store, the smell of hay, smell of horses and hay. When Moses broke the sacred tablets and Sinai, the rich picked the pieces, carved with adultery and kill and theft. The poor got only no. I kissed the back of her neck and elbow. This woman who's forgetting is a plot against forgetting. Naked in her galoches she waltzed, and even her cat waltzed. She said, all that is musical in us is memory. But I didn't know English. I danced sitting down, just straightened and bent and straightened. A tremble of music, a tremble in her hand. Okay, and on the next page we have a poem called Dancing in Odessa. It's on the page 12. Dancing in Odessa. We live it north of the future. Days opened letters with a child's signature, a raspberry, a page of sky. My grandmother's router made us from her balcony. She put imagination like a blanket over my head. I painted my mother's face. She understood loneliness. He did that in the earth like partisans. The night undressed us. I counted its pulse. My mother danced to fill the past with speeches, casseroles. At this my doctor laughed. His granddaughter touched my eyelid. I kissed the back of her knee. The city trembled. A ghost ship set in sail. And my classmate invented 20 names for Jew. He was an angel, he had no name, we wrestled, yes. My grandfather's for the German tanks and tractors. I kept a suitcase full of Brodsky's poems. The city trembled, a ghost ship set in sail. At night I walked to Witchburg, yes, we lived. We lived, yes, don't say it was a dream. At the local factory, my father took a handful of snow, put it in my mouth. The son began a routine narration, whitening their bodies, mother, father, dancing, moving, as the darkness spoke behind them. It was April. The sun washed the balconies, April. I tell the stories, the light etches into my hand. Little book, go to the city without me. Okay. Are you okay? Let me go now and read a longer poem for you. It's called Musica Humana, and it starts on the page 16. This poem is an elegy for the great Russian poet Osip Mandelstam. Usually when people ask about him, I say go to the library. They have a really good library here. So use it. All you need to know for the purpose of this poem is that Osip Mandelstam was a great Russian poet who happened to write a poem against the government. The time happened to be 1930s. The place was former Soviet Union, which means that he was sent into exile where he died. And his wife, Nadezhda, was also sent into exile, but she survived. Okay, that's all you need to know. The poem is written in both prose and verse, and it is spoken sometimes, not always, but sometimes in voices of Osip and Nadezhda Mandelstam. Okay? So we will start on the page 17, 17, and the poem is called Musica Humana. A modern Orpheus, sent to hell, he never returned. While his widow searched across 1/6 of the earth's surface, clutching the saucepan with his sons rolled up inside, memorizing them by night in case they were found by Furies with a search warrant. While there is still some light on the page, he escapes in a stranger's coat with his wife. And the close smells of sweat, a dog runs after them, licking the earth where they walked and sat. In a kitchen, on a stairwell above the turret, he will show her the way to silence. They will leave Serenia talking to itself, making laugh. They turn off the lights, but the neighbor has binoculars and he watches, dastardly on his lids. It is the 1930s, Petersburg, the frozen chips, the cathedrals, cafes down Nevsky Prospect, they move with a new state, sticks its spins into them. In Crimea, they gather together rich liberals and say to them strictly, on the judgment day, if you are asked whether you understood the poet Osip Mandelstam, say no. Have you fed him? You must answer yes. I am reading aloud the book of my life on earth, and confess, I love it grapefruit. In a kitchen sausages tasting vodka, the men raise their cups. A boy in a white shirt, I dip my finger into sweetness. Mother washes behind my ears, and we speak of everything that does not come true. Wishes to say, it was August, the lightning trees full of fury, August filling hands with a language that tastes like smoke. Now, memory, put some beer, solve the rim of the glass. You, who are waiting me, have what you want, a golden coin, my tongue to put it under. The younger brother of a cloud, he walks unshaven in dark green pants and cathedrals. He falls on his knees, praying happiness. His words on the floor are the skeletons of dead birds. I have loved, yes, worshipped, my hands spoke of loyalty to the earth. Now there's a lover boy counts my fingers. I escape, and I'm caught, escape again, and I'm caught, escape, and I'm caught. In the sun, the cinder is a clay figure. Poetry is a self. I resist the self. I'll see where St. Petersburg stands like a lost youth whose church is chipped and guillotines accelerate our lives. In summer 1924, Osip Mandelstam brought his young wife to St. Petersburg. Nadezhda, what was the French called loud mais charmant? An eccentric. Of course he was. His real student down the staircase for complaining he wasn't published. Osip Shatin was Sappho, was Jesus Christ. Poet is a voice, I say, like Icarus whispering to himself as he falls. Yes, my life was a broken branch in the wind, hits the northern ground. I am writing now a history of snow, the lamplight bathing the ship that sail across the page. But on certain afternoons, the Republic of thumbs opens up and I grow frightened that I haven't lived, died, not enough to scratch this ecstasy into vowels. Here, splashes of clear biblical speech. I read Plato, Augustine, the loneliness of their syllables violin skips fallen. And I read Akhmatova, her each weight binds me to the earth, and a trees and a tear is breathing. The dry air, the daylight. Yes, I lived. They stayed me up by the feet. I saw St. Petersburg daughters once. I learned the grammar of Gauss array and found myself for good down pushed in street while memory sat in a corner, erased me with a sponge. I have made mistakes, yes. In bed, I compared government to my girlfriend. Government and elegant barbers can shaving off the skin. All of us dancing happily around him. He sat on the edge of his chair and dreamt aloud of good dinners. He composed his poems not at his desk, but in the streets of St. Petersburg. He adored the image of rooster during a party night under the walls of Acropolis with his song. Like a tap in the cell, he was pounding on the door. You have got to let me out. I wasn't made for prison. Once or twice in his life, a man is peeled like apples. One's left is a voice that splits his being down to the center. We see obscenity, fright, mud, but there is joy of shape. There is always more than one silence. Between here and Nevsky Prospect, the ears spurred like stretch. Pray for this man who lived on bread and tomatoes, while ducks recited his poetry in each street. Yes, count March, July, weave them together with his word. It is time, Lord. press his foot against your silence. The story is told of a man who escapes and is captured into the broad of evenings. After making love, he sits up in the kitchen floor, eyes wide open, speaks of the Lord's emptiness and whose image we are made. He is out of work. Among silver and dirt, he is kissing his wife's neck, so the skin of her belly tightens. One would think of a boy lying sleepless with his tongue and a woman's skin. Those are lines soft entirely of silence. Natalia, his wife, looks up from the page and speaks. Osip, Akhmatova, and I were standing together when suddenly Mandelstam melted with joy. Several little girls ran past us, imagining themselves to be horses. The first one stopped, impatiently asking, "Where is the last horse?" I grabbed Mandelstam by his hand to prevent him from joining, and Akhmatova too, sensing danger, whispered, "Do not run away from us. You're our last horse." Natalia continues to speak. As I die, I walk barefoot across my country. Here I winter builds a stronger solid, tractors break into centers and gallops through plain speech. I'm 23, we live in a cocoon, the butterflies are mating. Ossie puts his fingers in the fire, he gets up early, walking around in his sandals. Rides slowly, prayers fall into the room, master watching him from the window. As he stamps over my skin, I see his face from underneath its aching clarity. Thus Natalia speaks, standing in an orange light. Her hands are quiet, talking to themselves. O God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, on your scale of good and evil, put a plate of warm food. Natalia continues to speak. When my husband returned from Voronezh, in his mouth he hid a silver spoon. In his dreams, down Nevsky Prospect, the dictator ran like a wolf after his past, a wolf with sleep in his eyes. He believed in the human being. Couldn't you himself of Petersburg, he recited my heart phone numbers of the dead? Oh, what he told in a low voice. The unspoken words became the traces of violence. When he slapped Tolstoy in the face, it was good. When they took my husband, each word disappeared in a book. They watched him as he spoke, the vowels had teeth marks. And they said, "You must leave him alone." For already behind his back the stones circle all by themselves and fall. And the last page of this poem. Osip had thick eyelashes to the middle of his cheeks. We were walking alone Prestinka Street. What we were talking about, I don't remember. We turned on the Gogol Boulevard, and Osip said, "I'm ready for death." At his arrest, we were searching for poems all over the floor. We sat in one room. On the other side of the wall, at neighbors, a Hawaiian guitar was playing. In my presence, the investigator found the wolf and showed it to Osip. He nodded slightly. Taking his leave, he kissed me. He was led away at 7 a.m. At the end of each vision, Mandelstam stands with a cloud of earth throwing bits at the passers-by. You will recognize him, Lord. He hated Tsarskaya Selo, told Mayakovsky, "Stop reading your verse, you're not Romanian orchestra." But when harmony was, it unraveled. Natalia said the snow fell inside her. She heard the voice of young chickens all over her flesh. Nadezhda, her yes and no were difficult to tell apart. She dances a skirt tucked between her thighs, and the light is strengthening. In each room's four corners, he's making love to her earlobes brows. Weaving days into nights, he's traveling across her kitchen, touching furniture, a small propeller, and his head turning as he speaks. Outside, a boy pissing against a tree, a beggar cursing at his cat. That summer, 1938, the walls were hot. The sun beat against the city, slapped the city that loved to say yes to the powerful. At the end of each vision, she rubbed her feet with milk. She opened her body, lay on his stomach. We will meet in Petersburg, he said. We have buried the sun there. Okay, let me just read one more poem and then I'll be out of your hair, okay? I want to end on a more happier note. So we will go to the page 52, and we will have a poem here called Praise. 52, okay? There is an epigraph from a great Italian poet, Natalia. But one day, through the gate left half open, there are yellow lemon shining at us, and in our empty breasts, these golden horns of sunlight pour their thanks. Natalia. Let's go now on page 54, 5-4, okay? 5-4. Okay, praise. Time might win, take me by the hand through the streets of your city. My days, your pigeons are fighting for crumbs. A woman asks at night for a story with a happy ending. I have none, a refugee, I go home and become a host, searching for houses I lived in. They say the father of my father, of his father, of his father was a prince who married a Jewish girl against the church's will and his father's will, and the father of his father. Losing all, ye sure to lose. The state ships hide in this ring, his wedding ring. And my father handed to my brothers and took hastily. In a family album we sit like the mannequins of school children, whose distraction like a lecture is postponed. Then my mother begins to dance, rearranging this dream. Her love is difficult, loving her is simple as putting raspberries in my mouth. And my brothers had not a single gray hair. He sinned into his 12-month-old son, and my father sinned into his 14-year-old silence. This is how we live on earth, a flock of sparrows. The darkness a magician finds quarters behind our ears. We don't know what life is. Who makes it? The reality is ink with loading. We put it up to our lips and drink. I believe in childhood, the native land of mass exams that return and do not return. I see the shores that reach a burden across the streets like a lost cat. The light falls touching his shoulder. Where memory, an old flautist plays in the rain and his dark lips, its tongue have hunching out. For 20 years between life and death I have run through silence. In 1993 I came to America. I put the word on a page, it is my keyhole. I watch the streets, the shops, the bicyclists, the oleanders. I open the windows of an apartment and say, I had masters once. They are it above me. Who are we? Why are we here? A lantern they carried still glitters in my sleep. In the stream, my father breathes as if lighting a lamp over and over. The memory is starting a soul and chin. It begins to move when I think the trees are moving. And the page's solid corners, my teacher walks composing a voice. He wraps each word in his palms, hands learn from the soil and broken glass. You cannot think a poem, he says. Watch the light, harden into force. I was born in the city, name it after Odysseus. And I praise no nation to the rhythm of snow, and immigrants' clumsy phrases fall into speech. But you asked it for a story with a happy ending. Your loneliness played its lyre. I sat on the floor watching your lips laugh. A one-legged bird I bought for 40 cents as a child and released it is coming back, my soul in reckless feathers. Oh, the language of birds with no word for complaint, the balcony, the wind. This is how, via darkness, drew my profile with its little finger. I have learned to see the past as Natalia saw it. Through the obscure thoughts of God discounted. I'm on a child's trumpets over you, over me, over the lemon trees. Thank you.
Thank you so much again for being here. Our next reading is November 6th with Robin Blazer, and we are also going to have a program the afternoon before that, still working out all the details in Wheeler about Blazer talking about living in Berkeley during the Berkeley Renaissance and sort of an informal talk. So we'll have information about that up on our website as soon as we get all the details worked out for that. And you can leave the books on your seats. We'll come around and collect them. And we do have that same book available for sale over here if you'd like to buy it, as well as some other titles. Thank you so much.